Mars, then the Sun and Dionysius, all the cosmologies. I've checked them all, done it, thousands of presentations proving it all. It's all simply the genealogies of not bloodlines. That's what they claim it is. It's the genealogy of the planet. It's telling you the historical setup of the planet. Venus, for instance, they changed their Saturn, for instance, is known to be dethroned by Jupiter, and Jupiter rules the age of chaos, the 4 seasons, whereas Saturn used to rule the 1 season. So what happens is you see they take on different attributes and dynamics throughout the life of the cosmos. The Bible is just basically explaining these things. The Bible is nothing other than a astronomical, a registry of astronomical phenomena and a biochemical ascension handbook, really. The elite families have done a number on people, making them believe it's literal, really. It's just disgraceful,
Do you believe that when you talk about Genesis, you say that it's the genealogy of the earth, and I say that it's not, because if it's the genealogy of the earth, it wouldn't start off in the beginning with Genesis, because the Bible is no more than 7,000 years old, the written text. So we have to say, what was people calling the beginning before the Christian concept? And you will see that there was no concept of a beginning. Each of us have our own beginning, where we were birthed on our own time from the womb of our mothers. And that was the ancient secret, that there is no time. You're on your own timeline. So when you talk about the Bible not being historical or literally, I totally have to disagree. But I also agree with you, my brother Santos. What I mean is it has to be decoded to get the real history out of it. There is history there, though. For example, like I told you, if you read the book of Genesis, the serpent and the woman was cursed, and Adam was given power over the earth. Well, that's true. If you think of who the Christians was, what we're calling ancient Christians wouldn't have been called Christians, because the Christians didn't exist in the ancient world. They would have been called the Minoans. So an ancient Christian is called a Minoan. And that's very important, Santos, because let me show you something about the Minoans. The Minoan serpent goddess is who the Christians turned their back on, deity that they call Zeus. And they created mythology to explain to you when they turned their back on Mother Nature. Here is the Minoan serpent goddess. She's the tree of life. She represents the sacred womb that houses masculine and feminine. That's what each of those serpents are. It's electromagnetism. It's electrons and magnetism that creates electromagnetism. It's positive and negative that creates neutron. So she's the neutron. When you talk about the sky god as Nu, and you talk about the Anunnaki, and you talk about new moons and things becoming renewed, you're talking about this goddess here who's the renewing energy. She became Set, the dark god of the underworld, because the word Set is where we get the word reset from. Every night we go to the womb or the darkness to reset. Set became Satan, associated with the darkness, but Set is our primordial source. The darkness is what spoke the light on, and it's represented by this Minoan snake goddess. When the early Christians or the early Minoans left this beautiful spirituality, New World ideologies that were becoming popular in Egypt and different other world centers where the populations were booming. And these were New World religions centered around male worship. And we were entering a new world where the man was becoming like a rock star, and the pharaoh was being worshipped like the Pope today. And all of the cultures had mother goddesses like the one you see here. And this was the Christians' ancient mother goddess, became the Virgin Mary. But she was cursed in the garden. So the Bible is giving you real history, but it's giving it to you in mythology. So the serpent and a woman who was cursed in the garden, that was man rising to power. Adam is the name of the first male pharaoh, the name of the first sun god. It translates also to Apollo. So who is Apollo, Adam, and Halo? When you talk about Saturn, Saturn is just a concept of balance. It's a circle with a line in it. And when you said Saturn, it's because this woman you looking at, this mother goddess, she's the one that's turning the atmosphere from the center. The sun and moon are being turned and they're circling the center because there's an energy at the center causing that turning. And it became Saturn. All right. And that turning is the witch stirring up the brew pot. She is the witch that's stirring up the brew pot, sun and moon. And each of those serpents is the sun and the moon. One is the sun, one is the moon. And their circuit is caused by this intelligence that's stirring up the atmosphere from the center of the earth. That intelligence was represented by this great mother right here. Each serpent is the sun, one is the moon. And they going on a circuit around her. As above, so below, man and woman goes on a circuit around and through the womb of the woman. We come in and out of existence through this portal called a vagina. The sun and moon come in and out of existence during the eclipse, and they access this dark womb as well. So this was all cursed in the Bible. And this tree of life was cursed and chopped down. And we now became ruled over by Adam. So there's no way you can sync the Bible up with the golden age of the mothers, because the Bible represents the end of that age. It represents the end of the golden calf, which is the holy cow. So there's no way you can restore that golden age with the Bible when the Bible was used to end that golden age. The only thing you can do is teach these Christians the origins of the Bible, like what I just did, and the truth about Genesis, that there were no talking snakes. There was a talking snake goddess who was a personification of the sound vibration that Genesis speak of. Genesis speak of someone speaking life into existence from the darkness. Well, you're looking at that one right now, the mother goddess. So if you want to do some help, Santos Bonacci, teach them this. Teach them that the book of Genesis hides the true nature of the North Pole and the beauty of our reality. And that beauty that everything is emanating from the center right now. Teach the Christians this. Teach them that there's nothing wrong with serpents. There's nothing wrong with Satan. Teach them, don't you be in fear of anything, but decode everything. Because I hear you speak a lot about serpents and Satan in a negative way because you didn't have this knowledge of the serpent goddess. This is beautiful stuff. No, so what they do to
hang on. You heard that, yes, but you didn't hear all the other thousands of presentations where I do teach that the serpent is the serpent of light, and we are to eat from the fruit of the tree of knowledge and good and of evil, because I explain what it is. You may have heard that when I introduced that in the light that it is known to be, but I'm a syncretist. I know what the serpent is. You haven't watched enough of my presentations where I discuss what the serpent really is. The serpent is the sine wave, which is the consciousness energy of the universe, half of the creating aspect of the creator. I know what it is, and it's feminine. Okay, the letter S is S, hence it's feminine. So, no, well, yes, you heard right. I'm not saying you didn't hear me. And you said earlier that I was negative about Saturn. Oh, no. When I do astrological readings, I teach people that look for Saturn because that's where you will get the greatest treasures, because he will give you the worst. He's a malefic, but he will give you the best. And I've seen that in the thousands of astrological charts that I've read. I've seen how Saturn has done this. It actually brings you the greatest rewards and the greatest depth of penetration of wisdom. So these are the planetary rulers of our solar system. They are astrological, and they are all represented in the Bible. Jesus has 12 disciples. Jupiter, Zeus, Thor has 12 knights in the round table. Jacob has 12 tribes. Moses has 12 loaves of bread on the table in the tabernacle. There are 12 pillars in the temple in Revelation, 12 trees along the river that give food to the nations. There's 12 precious stones on the ephod of the high priest. This is all astrological. It's not literal. Yes, you are right that there's literal things. For instance, you are also correct that the Bible is only 7,000 years old in this timeline. But the Bible is not only a copy of this timeline. It explains how all timelines happen. They start with atum and mota. Both words in the mirror. You've got to put them in the mirror. So the mother and the father. Thomas means twin, and atum means one, indivisible. So it's Adam. Okay. Eve is even. Even numbers are feminine. Oddum numbers are masculine. So 2 comes along, and that paradise now is unbalanced because Eve even has caused division, but she's also caused doubling. You see? So Eve, Venus, is seen as venereal in one sentence, but in the next sentence, she's to be venerated, revered.
But look, Venus is also venue. The woman is the venue, the portal in and out of existence. So I understand the root words you're giving. She's the vendor of all energy that keeps the cup running over with infinite vibration of energy, like the ripple effect, the sine wave. So yes, she's the vendor of all life. You should be venerable. You're right. I just say that, and I'm sorry for cutting you off because I just realized that I did do that. I'm sorry. Let me just stop. Keep going, Santos. Forgive me for that.
No, that's fine. That you wasn't cutting me off. I think I'd finished. But yeah, as a syncretist and an astrologer, I just see things the way the universe expresses itself. All is pulses of energy, and then that creates waves, just like your pond explanation. You said you drop a pebble in a pond and you have a north pole. That's your center, and everything vibrates outwardly from there. Well, you see, this is the water mechanics. But if you go to air mechanics, same field mechanics. If you go to fire mechanics, same field mechanics. Then you go to the ether, which is where light emanates in that field, and it's the same field mechanics. So you have a light source, which is God, infinite, unlimited, unqualified, unconditioned, and it expresses itself in conditions, red and blue shift. So the electrical wave has polarity, so it expresses itself in red and blue, whereas the center is white, the magnetic white centering longitudinal wave. And so everything is expressed in that. There are big waves, there are small waves. Your body is made up of anatomies. That means you are made of atum. Backwards is mother, material. And yep, go on.
That ripple effect is a echo of how all things come in and out of existence, not just the way our cosmos is. And I'm agreeing with you. Here is the firmament is real, and it's the womb. It's a concept that above our head is a pregnant woman, not literally. We look at science and look at nature, and we see how life has come to this earth. It comes enclosed in an arch. And we look around at earth, we see everything lives in an arch called a house. Your house shaped like the letter A. Your first house was your mama's pregnant belly before you came into the earth. So what I'm saying here is that they tell you that Adam is what existed in the beginning, but really it was the darkness that always existed. That's the woman. And when you talk about sound, how it moves and travels in waves, well, water moves and travels in waves. vibration is what you get when you disturb the surface of that sea of potential and you create upon that canvas, you get vibration, which is life, you and me. And to look at the waters above us in a symbolic way to further understand what I'm trying to teach, we disturb those waters above every time we enter the pregnant womb of our future mother, because the egg starts off pure liquid, a sea of potential. It isn't disturbed. Then the sperm becomes the point of singularity, or the rock that we throw into the pond, and it disturbs that water and creates vibration called life or baby. So this thing plays out micro, macro. You close your eyes and see darkness, and then you disturb that darkness with an idea. And then vibration starts to happen. You start manifesting the idea, which spreads outward from you, the source that manifested the idea. And now your idea is all over the earth. You know, think about the person who created computers. They're everywhere now. So they are the point of singularity for the computer. And it started from them, as they was the North Pole for the computers. And from their mind, which was the center of that thought, all computers on earth spread it out in a 360 degree from that one person. And now that thought of a computer is seeded the whole earth from the mind of that person, which is the North Pole for that thought called a computer. So this is something that plays out. We can't escape it. When you re-enter the darkness upon death, you're going to disturb it with a summary of all the thoughts that you allowed into your mind when you was living. The stuff you entertain as real in your belief systems is what you're going to ultimately see. What the book of Genesis don't teach you is that the book of Genesis took away the naked truth. And ever since then, Adam and Eve had to put clothes on. All right. So the term we get called a naked truth represents the mother goddess, represents the ripple effect, represents this serpent goddess that I keep showing y'all. She the naked truth. Now, hold that truth and put some clothes on it. Now you're creating indoctrination or the New World Order trap. But when you strip away all the clothes off of that truth, that's when you free a person. Seeking the truth and gaining the truth ain't about gaining more information. To truly seek the truth, it's about to lose information. It ain't about gaining more information to learn the truth. Everything you need to know is already in you, hidden behind millions of lies. So on our quest from the truth, we don't seek to gain anything. On our quest for the truth, we seek to undo all of the things that hid the truth that was already in us. So you don't have to seek anything additional to what you came on the earth with to understand the mysteries of yourself and its creation. You only have to undo all of the religions and the Bibles and indoctrination and the scriptures and all of the concepts to get back to the pure essence of who you are that's hidden behind all of that malarkey. So you don't have to seek nothing additional. You have to just undo the dirt that's been done to you. And when you talk about the serpent, a snake moves like a sine wave. A snake moves like a sine wave. All right. So the Satan or the serpent is, if you rearrange the word serpent, you get present, because in the middle of the future and the past is the present or the serpent. And that's what's in the middle of the yin yang, the serpent. Can be looked at as Adam, the yang can be looked at as, you know, yin yang, masculine, feminine. But the serpent in the middle can be looked at as the womb that they both come from. So you got sun and moon and the darkness that eclipses them both. That's what forms the middle of the yin yang, the serpent. This is Adam and Eve and the tree of life. When you got yin and yang with the serpent in the middle, this is the oldest symbol on the face of the earth. and even Santos Bonacci can't argue with that. This and the swastika are the two oldest religious symbols on earth, predating the cross. All right. So you got to understand that if the yin yang and the serpent is Adam and Eve in a tree of life, you now understand why this symbol was cursed in Genesis. Because the mythological Genesis story is basically cursing all of the ancient spiritual systems. So when they say that the serpent and the woman was cursed in the gardens, this is what they talking about. The yin yang was cursed. This is the serpent and the woman. This is the serpent goddess that was cursed in the gardens, and it took us away from true facts and truth of spirituality with nature, belief systems, and indoctrination under Atum. All right. So if you look at the yin yang, it's not an equal symbol. Males are not equal to women. I hate to bust your heart. It ain't 50-50. It's something like 40-60. You know, and I'm doing us some justice here, because most folks will say that it ain't even that. Most folks will say that males are a deformed human. I don't go that far. I say that we are archangels. We are immaculate conceptions, men. When I say archangels, we were created to enforce the law of the woman who's the lawmaker. She's the lawmaker, we're the law enforcer. She's the great architect, we're the mason, we're the builder. We are the manifestors of her world. The root word of manifestor is man. She's the womb man. She lays out the blueprint to show you how to build, and that's her job. So if you look at the yin yang symbol, it's not an equal symbol. It's not 50-50. There's more black on it than there is white. All right. The entire outline is black. There's more black than it is white because the woman is more. She's the feminine. She encloses herself around Gail. So let me show y'all something. The yin yang is not an equal symbol. It's the cosmological symbol of the great womb. Right here, she represents the dark outline of the yin yang. That darkness is the shadow. It outlines reality. It's the sacred geometry. So there's more darkness than there is white or light, because the light comes from the darkness. This white fish comes from this dark fish. That's why the dark fish covers the entire symbol. Is more dark than white. The white fish is actually inside of an egg, all right? A big dark egg. The white fish is inside of that. The white fish is the sperm inside of the woman's egg, but the egg is the entire structure of the cosmos that encloses it, just like a pregnant woman. So the yin yang is not an equal symbol. The woman, we're in a matriarch reality, whether you want to accept it or not. And there is more of the feminine at work than we see of the masculine. So there's destructive energy and constructive energy. Males, we are destructive energy. We are needed, because when you create a new building, you have to tear the old one down. So there is a role for us that's very beautiful. But when you look at the yin yang, there's more feminine than masculine. There's more dark than light, because the darkness existed before the light. Even Genesis tell you that. So when you look at Nut outlines Gail. She covers him with the darkness, just like this dark fish covers the white fish, because the darkness is the primordial seed. The darkness don't need the light, but the light need the darkness to shine. Remember that. That's why I say go back to the darkness. Go back to everything they made you scared of and call it sacred. So they made you scared of the devil, but the devil is sacred. The word sacred is scared today. That's why I don't like the English language, and it's not no kind of language we need to be revering, because it's a coded fire language that keeps Heliopolis ruling over us, that keeps heliocentrism alive and well. The true language is no language. It's simple symbols. So the true language of the Most High isn't words, it's symbol. Symbols are vibrations. When you're looking at the yin yang symbol, it's a literal vibration equivalent to sound. When you write a sigil on paper, that's vibration. If you had a vibration detector, don't you know the highest vibrations will be emanated from symbols, not words? The true sound is the symbol. And that's why I'm trying to give it back to you now. The darkness is all there is. Everything else is the Maya or the illusion. Atum is a sun god. And for the past 7,000 years, we've been blinded by the rays of the sun, and we can't see the darkness. Let there be light in Genesis symbolizes Greece and Egypt coming out of their dark ages to create this new world order that we're in today. You got to remember that Greece and Egypt came out of their dark ages at the same time with ruling pharaohs. That was what the unification was all about in Egypt, because the Greeks was living over there in Egypt for so many centuries before the unification. Upper and Lower Egypt is nothing but Greco-Egypt and Egyptian Egypt, or Kushite Egypt. Egypt was the first America, and it was a lot of tension into the unification under Narmer. When we left the matriarchal sort of village state to new world orders or government systems, and Greece and Egypt were the first two that started in Egypt. And that's when they hid all of this knowledge of the yin yang and of the serpent goddess behind talking snakes and tree of Bibles and atoms and all of that. That's deception. So when you go back to Atum, you have to remember who Atum is. Here's a picture of Atum. Atum is the first ruling pharaoh, the all or perfection. That's blasphemy, because the all or the perfection is not no damn pharaoh. It's the darkness that we go to every night. Not no dude on a throne telling you what to do and how to think. So here's a picture of Atum, because Santos mentioned Atum a couple of times, and I want you to know who he's referring to. This is not the primordial source. This is the beginning of Western world and patriarchy. As you can see here, the Egyptian god Atum, which was also a real pharaoh called a Scorpion King, get our American flag from. So America is nothing but a society that's a recreation of ancient Egypt, or it's a recreation of Heliopolis, or the Hellenistic world, and we're still under this new world order today. And I'm trying to get us out of it. The American flag can be seen here on this tomb. So when you hear someone talking about our tomb, they ain't giving you the truth. The truth is the great mother, not the first pharaoh that gave us the new world order. Because the new world is opposite of the old world, and the old world is the golden age, or the golden calf, the golden bull, the age of autonomy. Goal is success, fruition, fertility. Under this new pharaoh, it's the opposite, it's death. That's why you have a cross, a symbol of death. And the mother is a womb, which is a symbol of life. Now, which one will you choose? Because if you look at these pharaohs, it's all centered around death and male worship, and that is Atum. Atum is not the primordial source. Sound travels in waves, and water travels in waves, and you travel in the waters of your mother waves when you make a splash in her womb and come into existence in her pregnant belly. You disturb her waters and you become your own cosmos, or ripple effect. Then when you come out of her womb, you are now into the earth cosmos, and you are a ripple effect on the earth, letting your life be known and your voice be heard. You make a splash into our reality. So everything is a ripple effect. But when you go into the phallus worship or the pharaoh worship, then you lose the truth about this ripple effect, which is nothing but the great womb. The great womb was said to be a spiral goddess. All right, this spiral goddess became the Milky Way galaxy. They call it the Milky Way because milk is what the woman's breast gives the baby to sustain life when it come out of the womb. She's the creator and sustainer, the Alpha and Omega. And when you look at the symbol of Omega, remember what I told you, it's the last, it's the ending. What is it? It's Nut. Nut is the outline, the Most High, the Alpha and Omega. If you look at Nut right here, she's the outline, just like she represents darkness. The outline of this yin yang is dark. So there's more dark than light. The sun ain't the Most High. The darkness is the Most High. If you go out on a bright sunny day, you can go above the sun and you will be right back in darkness. Nothing can escape the darkness. It's the reaper that comes for all of us. So you better get acquainted with it now. Stop being blinded by the light of the sun. So she is the outline. And that's very important because